Hello everyone, I'm Calvin Fu, Principal Advisor of 167. Thank you for taking the time to tune into this video today. In today's video, I'd like to talk about value propositioning. Some of you might, especially if in a marketing area or you've done lots of marketing research, value propositioning is, you can also know it as customer value strategies or value propositioning canvas or perhaps customer value modeling. And I use the value propositioning model in different aspects. So there are three areas. The first one is in terms of, say, in internal business, where I'm in a commercial-based business function and I'm providing a service across the business, and I am trying to understand what one of my customer teams require. So, for example, I could be a commercial function and I'm providing a commercial service to, say, a ICT or IT team. And I can use the value propositioning to basically understand that. So it's not just in terms of internal business functions, it's also in terms of if you're setting up your own business and you want to know what sort of value you intend to provide your market. And it's also in terms of if you are working with a customer for the first time and you are trying to understand how you can be of value to them. So in all these three instances, you can use the value propositioning, if you might use the word canvas, and it's actually really beneficial in that space. I will be, in the second half of this video, I'll be taking us through an example, perhaps a scenario that I create, and I'll demonstrate how I've used that in these three different areas. But before we get there, I might talk a little bit more about this value propositioning canvas, so it just makes more sense prior to us going through those examples. The value propositioning canvas has got two sections. The first area is what I call the discovery, and the discovery is actually really trying to understand three things. What is the intention in terms of your customers' products or services? Again, your customer means could be your internal stakeholders or your external business customers. They are the same. They are your customers. And the second area after the intended solutions would be what are the pain that your customers experience. So pain could be challenges or struggles that they experience. And then the third area is the gains. So what sort of gains they are seeking, or what I call benefits they are seeking. Sometimes in this area of gains, I also further into perhaps what sort of strengths they have, because that strengths is then is something I use to enable them to lean into a space on what they can provide to the industry or perhaps to the various business functions that we intend to service in terms of customers. So you got a discovery area, and then also you've got your solutions area. And the solutions area, it's typically encompasses, as you can imagine, right? So if you know what the challenges are, then the solutions area then entails the what good looks like sections, or perhaps the solutions to overcome that. And you would have three areas as well, which would be what we call the pain relievers. I'm going to use very, very similar words so they enable you if you Google this. Pain relievers, you've got your gain creators that will support those benefits. Your pain relievers will relieve those pains that your stakeholders or your customers will share with you. And then finally, you have got the solutions. And the solutions as a final part would be what sort of solutions that we intend to provide to your customers or your stakeholders in order for us to address their pain, their gain, as well as to ensure alignment to their business intentions. And throughout this, whether we're conducting a discovery or whether we're going through to identify the solutions and define the solutions, the best method I've always used is that I would suggest would be a co-create method. And when I say co-create method, it means coming together and then the ability to have a workshop where you're using stickies for everyone to perhaps unfold in sort of a metaphoric popcorn sense, where everyone's just throwing thoughts and then we're coming together towards stickies, and then we're going towards normalizing the information there across the intentions, the pain, the gain, and then perhaps even progressing towards the pain relievers, the gain creators, as well as the intended solutions that we create. And all these I will unfold further in the second half of this video. The value propositioning is not a stakeholder analysis matrix. It's different. A stakeholder analysis matrix is really deep diving into the core key stakeholders and to understanding, how you should be in terms of managing or developing those relationships with them, as well as also the stakeholder and analysis maps enables you to understand what the interests are, and what sort of expertise value you could then work with them towards contributing deeper into this, into a particular program. So please do differentiate the difference between a stakeholder analysis as well as a customer value propositioning. The value propositioning, as the word value suggests, is how do we define value, and that value is it's the value that we as a business or we as a team or function, depending on whether you're looking at it as you're setting up your own business, whether you're looking at it as you are in the business talking to the customer, as well as, or you are you are overseeing a particular business function within a large organization or an organization, and how you service different business functions area within the business. They're all called customers. They're the same, right? Of course, if you're servicing, if you're a business function servicing various business functions, then you most likely will call them stakeholders. But I like to think of all of them as customers, because as a business function, we are here to be of service to one another, or here to be service across the business. It doesn't change whether or not they are an internal based stakeholder or an external stakeholder. They are customers. And personally, I feel that, and I highly recommend that, if we can view all stakeholders as customers, then we can then understand and step back into what sort of value we're intending on providing. Because all of us need to be able to understand what is the cost in terms of how we operate. What is the price in terms of the total cost of ownership in terms of providing a particular service, or some say price is equals to cost plus whatever profit or additional value you're intending in terms of risk management of a particular organization. And then of course you've got your value. So you've got three different things, right? One, you've got your cost, you got your price, and your value. Purpose of this video today is not to dive into cost or price, but the ability to understand that then also enables us to understand what is the value we're intending on providing. And when we unfold deeper into value, then typically you have two areas, right? You have your cost, and sometimes in terms of cost benefits, you want to bring your customers. It could be cost reduction, or it could be, when we talk about cost reduction, obviously we talk about profit margins, right? And as we unfold costs, and of course some of those value benefits could be in terms of sales, right, or revenue. So you got cost, you got revenue, and finally, you got three areas, and finally you have risks in terms of risk reduction. And what I typically encourage everyone is to put a value on any of these areas, because some areas of benefits you might have in terms of time reduction, such as productivity, right, when you talk about value. And it could be in terms of hours. However, when we step everything back into an understandable matrix where we put a dollar value on it, it enables everyone to make if I may say, an instant connection to it. Because most of us would understand what the value of $50 is, or $100, or $1 million, or 100 million, whichever business areas that you deal with. And when you can make an instantaneous connection, then automatically, if you can picture this, you are enabling your executives, your teams, or your customers or your stakeholders to then make an emotional connection to, wow, this is what the value is. The value proposition also then allows you to, as I mentioned, when you can step back into the price and the cost that you are presenting to your stakeholders or your customers, then it allows them to make a connection on, all right, if this is what it's going to cost me, or if this is what's the price, and this is what the value is going to bring me, then we understand what the returns are in terms of what we're spending. So all in, right, allows you to utilize value propositioning as a very fundamental platform to understand what your customers' needs are, and then to use it as a way to then unfold into what sort of, not just in terms of the benefits, but also in terms of what are the returns that your customer or your stakeholders could be feeling in terms of this. Okay, I think that should be sufficient for an introduction what value propositioning is. I'm sure there's a lot more that I could possibly cover, but I do encourage everyone to Google this. It's not a particular model that I created, but it's a model that I've used and kind of evolved into different situations or different projects or different intentions that I've used customer value propositioning to then unfold, and then so that we can create visuals into it. Okay, so I'm gonna switch screens, and I've got at the back here. There we go. A PowerPoint, a blank PowerPoint. And what I'm going to call this, I'm just going to call this a so I'm going to picture this. Sorry, I'm going to call this a value identification workshop. Okay, a bit of a typo here. All right. Oh dear. There we go. Value identification workshop. Okay, as mentioned, right? So you have got two sections here, and I'm just going to draw this area, right? And then I'm going to call this discovery, and I encourage you to make this your own. You might call it something else, and that's absolutely okay. I think the most important thing is to be able to connect with what it means to you. So I'm gonna put this on the circle that's on the top. I'm gonna go here. I'm just gonna do a white field, and I'm gonna go. There we go. Discovery. So as I mentioned, right, you have got two sections here. You got one area, and that's the discovery, and then the other area is. There we go. You got the solutions. All right. We will adjust it as we get through this. Okay. And right at the first thing typically I like to know is I like to understand the intention. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use, say, an internal business function, and I just want you to be try to be imaginative, right? You could be a business talking to. So you could be a business talking to your customer right now, or you could be a commercial function, and you're now talking to an ICT team, or it could be ICT team or an ICT business function, or call it IT, whichever you connect best with to a commercial team, right? But in this example, I'll say a commercial function talking to ICT. And what we like to know typically is, so when we go through a discovery process, you could be in a workshop, and it could be a workshop where you're facilitating with maybe one assistant, or maybe you are facilitating alone with, say, a team of 3 or 5 different people, or it's just you. It's a one-on-one workshop with, say, you're a head of function, you're talking to the head of function, or you're a director of a business, or a senior consultant talking to, say, the main sponsor at the customer end, right? And what I typically like to do is I like to understand, all right, what are your top 3 business intentions? Okay, so just for this clarity, I'm going to use the word business intention. And when I say top business intention, it means what is the mission, or from a point of view of a product and service description, what are they? So if we think about an ICT business, so what I'm going to do here as well is I'm going to put something, so I'm going to say it's an ICT function. Right, so this should allow us to have a bit of clarity on what are we trying to create here. There we go. I'm going to go no field, and I'm going to go that, and I'm going to go left. All right. There we go. Okay. Okay. Scenario. All right, there we go. So say if we are putting on the shoes of ICT business function, then perhaps the first thing could be ICT application management. So it could be this this business function is ICT function, and this function has got, I don't know, 87, let's call it 100 applications they need to manage across the business. All right. So let's say it's a moderately large business. It's got 100 different applications they need to manage. And then say another thing is that, you know, it's got a IT help desk. All right, so IT help desk service that they provide, because you go on different calls, like, oh, my system's not working. Why can't I set up a new profile? You know, I can't change this, I can't change that, I can't log in, right? So you got the IT help desk services. And then perhaps the third area could be they have got a project delivery team. Might be a good example there. Okay, so you could be looking at a moderate size organization, and the ICT business function has got 3 key areas. Of course, there could be more, right? Because you know, you can imagine it could be security service and things like this. But just for this purpose, we're going to say these 3 areas. So once you're able to establish that this is your intention, and you know, one of the key things you can imagine by putting it on paper, it then allows, you know, both parties to then share the same information, right? And if you can think about a value identification canvas, this is like it's an organic process. You start with this to identify that, you know, you create a solution, and then you move on to other, you know, you move on to creating perhaps a roadmap of activities. But prior to the roadmap, you might be, or at the same time, you might be creating a business strategy to, you know, for approvals of different areas. And then the business strategies could then lead to maybe a program strategy where you got pipeline of works to deliver, right? So just imagine this, like, so whatever you develop would then be fed into subsequent process to deliver that. Okay, and once you got the discovery, then there's 2 things you want to know, right? In this instance, in the next instance will be, one is what is the pain? Okay, what is the pain, right? Okay, and that's one, and I'm gonna do this. You just bear with me. And the second area you want to know is, what are the gains? Okay, so when we think about gains, right, we want to think about the intended benefits to deliver, if you will. Okay. Okay. Intended benefits to deliver. Alright, intended benefits to deliver. And sometimes I do flip it on its head to then ask questions on what are the strengths. Okay, I do that as well, because then it enables people to start thinking about it ahead when we get into the solutions, or at least start to be able to, in that sense, identify, you know, hey, it's not just you know, all the different pain, right? But it's also what can we deliver. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to clean this out a little bit more. I'm going to go, yeah, there we go. Okay, I'm going to open this up slightly. Oops, I might do it the other way actually. Okay, so I'm going to clean this out a little bit. Yeah, it gives us a bit more space now. And I'm gonna okay, there we go. Just make that smaller. Okay, so we got the pain, and that's the gains, and with the pain it's largely around maybe I call it the challenges. Okay, so challenges that they experience, or, you know, challenges typically, or basically the weaknesses in terms of how they view the business. Okay. Okay, and when we start to talk about this, when we think about these two areas, right, then what we want to know, I typically try to do is, so I then map that across different areas, and what I do is, I then think about the stakeholders, yeah, so I then think about, so if that's our stakeholder, right, that's our stakeholder, that's our customer, what is their view in terms of what they provide the whole business? Okay, so basically for them it's the business their customers, okay, or their stakeholders. Not quite sure what to call this, but I'm just gonna figure it. Okay, so I would then map that over. All right, so I'll say to them, I said, all right, say Mr. or say Smith, not Mr. or Mrs. Say Smith, you as a head of the function, and you're looking at your customers. All right, your customers. What are the pain and challenges, or what is the pain? What is the challenges that that you have in terms of the services that you deliver, and that's here, right, to your customers. So you could have different response, right? So I'm just gonna put a few things there, and what I'll do is, so I'm gonna set this up for that. There we go. So we come back to this. So basically, what is the pain of your customer, your stakeholder, in terms of their ability to provide these products and services? So a few things they could say resourcing, for example. Just throw some examples there. Resourcing. The second pain perhaps could be, I'm going to say executive support. I'm just going to throw some things out. And perhaps the third is in terms of process and systems. Okay, so perhaps process and systems to deliver all these different areas in which something is a current challenge for them. Resourcing because they're understaffed, and then executive support because say there's certain changes and they're trying to get alignment and they're not able to. And then when you have their view, so their view from stakeholders, and then you say what sort of gains they intend to deliver. So perhaps some of the areas could be they intend to deliver would be quick resolution of ICT issues. Next, there could be one of that. You also want to have perhaps effective program delivery outcomes. So in terms of start times and quality. All right, I'm just gonna put that out. Okay, and then perhaps the last one is the third one, right? The gains that this customer of yours intend to deliver. Yeah, and it could be I want to have I want to say robust consolidated apps management. Okay, so that's you know, quite a good, you know, I would say quite a typical example of what a large ICT team might aspire. I'm gonna move this up a little bit more. There we go. I can fit all this in there. Can we? Tiny bit. Yeah, there we go. So we've got here so we are having a view of our customers from our customers' eyes, their customers and stakeholders, right? Actually, that's fine. Yeah. There we go. Discovery view from customers' eyes and basically customers and stakeholders. So I typically will ask that, and then the second thing I would ask is the person who leads the team. Okay. So I'm giving you a few examples here. And the intention really is to enable you to be, you know, to be as flexible as you can. In terms of how you can use this framework. I'm just gonna spread this out a little bit. Okay, so then I'll proceed to asking them. So you can see it's cascading. And then finally the last part, before I get there, I'm just gonna shrink this down. Is I would then encourage the team. Okay, so basically we get the similar view from the team. And these are all you would like to have a sort of a palatable level of discovery. You don't want to dive too deeply because there are some aspects that you leave it. You know, if you leave it to your strategy workshops where you have a perhaps more detailed engagement across the teams to come in towards co-creating what the challenges are. But what you want to do in a very high level format is to just the ability to understand what are the top 3 challenges, right, across all these areas. So your discovery is very similar to your challenges. And it's largely around the view from our customer's eyes, right? Okay, so there we go. Yeah, so and when we ask, right, so basically our head of functions, typically we'll go, there we go, bring to front? Yeah, bring to front. Okay. So we could be, so the head function could be say the header function's just got a new position, or there's been a change of the CIO has changed, and there needs to be alignment, right? So that's one of the pain the header function could be experiencing. The other thing the header functions could be experiencing is perhaps a capability constraint. Right. So this is within the header function. So you're talking to the header function. What does the header function feels? On the other one, it's about the whole function, right? The function the functions, customers, and stakeholders. What is the gain, as well as the pain. And then some of the gains could be, if we turn it on the head, so typically it could be what are the good points of this person. So the good points of this person could be business knowledge, good business relationships. Yeah. So this, it could also mean deep security. I was gonna make it up. Deep security knowledge, IT security knowledge. Okay. For this example, I won't dive deeper into the team, but I think it's something that either yourself or together with the head of function that you're most likely talking to could then dive deeper. So if we look at the challenges, immediately we can see that we can see here that we already know what the business intentions are, the 3 different services. We also understand from the functions perspective of its customers what are the pain and challenges that it seeks to that impacts the ability to deliver their business intention. We also understand what the gains, or in terms of the of the functions in delivering the business intention. All right, I'm gonna just so that we can see the difference. I'm gonna go feeling. I'm gonna go. There we have it. Okay, so once we understand this, then immediately we'll be able to then identify what the pain relievers are. And also what the gain creators are. And what I typically like to look at it is look at it from a perspective of different programs or different activities or different projects that you will need to think about in order to resolve that, okay, or in order to overcome this pain, or the different projects in order to to help support the achievement of those gains. Okay, what do we have here? There we go. Alright, so we got that example. Oh dear. There we go. Okay, so if we look at this, then we could see, say we've got resourcing, we got alignment to, we got capability and resourcing. So it could be so in order to overcome that, we need a resourcing plan because it's clearly mentioned. Okay, so I'm just trying to encourage you to think, right? So someone has mentioned, I've got a resourcing issue. The first thing we need a resourcing plan or resourcing strategy. Then they think about one of the pain is executive support. So straight away I want to think about stakeholder management. Stakeholder management plan or stakeholder management strategy, whichever you want to call it. And then I think about alignment to management team. So I think stakeholder management plan should be able to touch on that, because they work hand in hand, right? And then I think about capability constraint. I think about resourcing plan. So your resourcing is, this will be resourcing shortage typically, because you're not enough people to deliver the requirements. So if you got a resourcing plan to resource, then you have got your capability constraint, you might probably have probably need a talent management strategy. All right, that talks about acquisition, development, and retention. Right. Okay. So with this, you've got 3 areas to relieve that. Okay, and then if you think about your gain creators, and we start to think about these areas. Quick resolution, effective delivery outcomes done. So we want to think about what do we need to do or to create all this, right? So obviously the first thing we need is a application management. Okay, so we got applications management. I'm going to operations plan, right? So we will, if we want an effective program, a robust consolidated application management, the first thing come to my mind is we need a plan on how we're going to get that. All right, because one of the key areas would be application management. For robust consolidated application management plan, we need application management operations plan, and that could be like maybe a 24 to 36 month strategy, right? Actually, for this purpose, I'm going to call it a plan. I'm going to call this a strategy. Okay, and then at the bottom end here, we've got quick resolution of ICT services. So basically, we need to do so I'm going to assume that this business has been around this function has been around for some time. And so we want to do a procedural review. Or let's take a step back. Let's call it a process review. Okay, process review of ICT help desk. Okay. And then we see an effective program delivery outcomes. So I'm going to assume again there's a program delivery team that's in delivering. So perhaps I want to go with a culture and operations. Given that there's an explicit mentioning of start times and quality, then I want to go culture and operations review of program team. Yeah. So immediately I know there's a few things here. So I know that in line with their pain and gain relievers, there are several areas. Right, the first one is a resourcing plan to adjust, to talk about those different pains that we've covered. We've got stakeholder management plan in terms of executive support. We've got your talent management strategy, and then at the bottom in terms of what we need to create, we've got the gains we intend to create is quick resolution, or maybe we can call it more efficient There we go. More efficient resolution of ICT issues. Effective program. We got robust. That then talks about the process review ICT help desk. Culture and operations review team. So I'm gonna swap this. There we go. And then a robust consolidated management would be, actually this one's here. There we go. So we're able to align to these three different areas. And on this area here, at least we can see business knowledge, good relations, IT. We could dive into what are the benefits intended for the head of function in terms of the person itself, but I think for this purpose, we shall just stick to here. And as we unfold, we can also unfold what the team really requires. But generally, when we are looking at the pains and gains of individual people, typically we are talking mostly around perhaps talent management strategies, which is all about typically about development as well as retention. But let's just leave it there for now. We can unfold further. So now that we got these areas, then what we need to consider now is what would then be the solution, right? Or the solution options. Okay. So when I say what would be the solution options, what I mean is that, so we now know that we need these 6 different areas. Okay, so we need this we need these 6 different areas, right? So if we take a step back, then how do we then make these 6 different areas possible? Okay, so we can't just go out and say, hey, we want to create 6 different activities. First of all, the first thing we need to do is we need to take a step back. We need to consult with everyone across the business, right? Or consult with the customer's business to ensure that they're comfortable. So we need an overarching, if we can call it a business plan. I usually look at it as a business plan or a business strategy, right? Because in this business strategy, you need a few things. You need obviously budgets. You need buy-in. Okay. You also need some kind of timelines. Well, let's put timelines at the start. Timelines, budget, time, right, and buy-in. So you need these 3 things, right, before you can actually run that. So you need I'm going to call it a business strategy. You might want to call it a program strategy, but you need something to be able to shop, for a better word. You need something you can shop with the business, so that you can roll this out. And then once you need that, and then once you have got that, then the next thing you want to be able to do is to really move into a program plan. So you got business strategy, you want to move in a program plan. And your program plan, once you got a program plan, you want to be able to move to implementation. Yeah. So if I look at how I'm going to deliver these 3 straight off on the top of my head, I'm thinking these three different areas. Okay, so the first thing I want to be able to do in order to get these 3 areas running, because I know these 3 areas here will then lead to me being able to address all this pain and intended pain and gains of the function, and then that would enable the function to deliver its business intention, right? And then by delivering its business intention, then obviously the function can achieve its, or business can achieve its say KPIs, SLAs, or its intents and purposes, right? So, and if we know that these 6 different areas would then achieve that, then what we want to be able to do now is figure out how we're going to get this done. We can't just walk in and say, I want to create a resourcing plan now, or I want to create and go one by one, because it's all. The reason I say it's because it's all relevant, right? You need these 6 different areas to be unfolding in order to achieve your goals. You can't just run one without the other, in a sense. Hence, you need to be able to then encapsulate this into one shared plan that you can then discuss and create buy-in across your business, right? Which would then enable everyone to then understand, all right, this is how you're going to do it in terms of timelines. This is the budgets you're going to need. Those are the buy-ins that you have, as well as what are the benefits. And typically, where you got benefits, and so on and so forth, right? You want to think about your risks. All right, so you got all these different areas, just to name a few. Obviously, in terms of your business strategy, there should be a little bit more information in that space. And then when you have got now everyone agreeing on your business strategy, so the reason I say business strategy, because you don't want to dive into unfolding various program plans or project plans across all these 6 areas when you are not even sure whether the business is going to be comfortable with what you're trying to suggest. Because your business strategy may be covering 6 different areas. However, a few of these areas might be something that might be rolled up into other programs across the business, right? Hence, you first need to complete your business strategy outcome in order to know exactly where you're heading to, right? Because it might be adjusted. And once you have completed that, then you can figure out, all right, what's the program plan across all, because that program plan would then lead to individual project plans, right? There we go, individual project plans. And then once you got this individual project plan, so you might have, you could have six different projects, or you might have 3 different projects because you're consolidated some, or you might put some under here and there. You might consolidate, right? So let's just say you got 6, and that's where you now move to implementing those projects, right? Because when you implement the projects, then obviously you now kickstart a whole new project process in each area. Right, and with this, then you're going to get everyone who's then connected in how you're going to achieve that. It enable you to then understand what are the costs as well. So because you got budgets, costs as well. You understand everyone is connected to what's required. You move to implementation. You can resource. You can set up your team. You can and then you can track in terms of the delivery of what needs to be done. Overall, taking a step back, the intention of the value identification workshop is to be able to bring in your customers or your stakeholders. They're both customers. You just remember that. It doesn't matter whether it's a stakeholder in a business or whether it's a customer in terms of the customer you're actually servicing as your business, or as a business itself that's starting up a new product or services. These are our customers that we've got to think about, right? And I think it's very important, as mentioned at the start, that when we are able to view everyone, including the stakeholders as customers, we then are able to connect directly or connect directly or make the deepest sense in terms of being of service to our customers, right? Because regardless whether it's a stakeholder or not, whether it's even if a stakeholder is a contractor or the stakeholder is within the as a full-time employee, it does not matter. It is still someone that is considered the customer, because that's the intention. Whether they are paid as a full-time employee or a contractor, it does not matter. They are still a stakeholder, right? And then if we can then look at all these individual stakeholders and customers as customers themselves, as people or individuals that we must be of service to, because then similar to strategy that cascades, trust also cascades, right? But that's probably a bit more of a deeper dive into into trust and stakeholder management, but it's not the purpose of this. But if we understand that we want to be of service to our customers, then what this helps us do in bringing everyone together, it not doesn't just create an artifact, but also it enables us to facilitate a conversation. Of course, what I've done is do a summary, right? But prior to this, you can imagine you're doing stickies, with Sharpie markers. Everyone's writing their different thoughts, and then you are bringing it all together. You're normalizing the information, and then you're creating all this information in the discovery and challenges area, and then you're progressing into the solutions. The solutions could be on the basis of you've taken it away, you've created some draft as a result of it, and then you're sharing that draft in you're in that sense shopping and facilitating the development of the buying of those draft information. Or it could be a continuation of the co-create session where everyone comes together and go, you know what, resourcing plan is what you need, a talent management strategy, you need this and that, and then you've got a model that's already there, or a structure of activities there. And you could continue to progress into what are those three solution options, immediate solution options that would deliver those pain and gain creators. Or you could take that back and create that as a draft and then go back into buying and shopping it. The key intention here is that depending on you could choose to co-create, you could choose to work in drafts and unfold. I think the key thing here is to ensure that the methodology that you're developing is something that is, in a sense, inclusive of everyone. So everyone, in a sense, got skin in the game, right? Because what you want to do is to be able to enable everyone to be part of this journey. Because when everyone is part of this journey and they understand exactly what's going on, then typically you see in terms of the quotient where people love what they do and do what they love, that will then go higher up. And when that goes higher up, then you see much more better ideas or solutions being co-created by everyone in the team. And a happier team also means that your areas such as your talent development and retention, especially retention levels, will go up. All right. So the way we then how we sell this, how we create this, co-create together, is important, because that is the onset on how you're going to deliver your pain relievers and your gain creators, and how you're going to address those challenges along the way, right? By then having this co-created methodology that takes us through that, it's something that's really powerful, because it starts that that resonating culture really growing. And then you're ensuring that you got good rigor and you got a robust strategy. They have started developing way from the outside at ground zero. I think that's something that's important to know. Yes, so I hope you find this session beneficial. The customer value propositioning canvas, or value propositioning canvas, whichever you want to call it, in terms of value identification, is something that's really powerful. It's something I've used in commercial and procurement teams, very large commercial and procurement teams, to enable teams to have a good idea on, not just conducting stakeholder analysis. I don't think that's enough, but in terms of understanding what our customers' purpose is, so that we know how to in a sense adequately provide our services as a commercial and procurement teams to all these different functions. And all these different customer functions could be ICT, it could be engineering, it could be people from your programs or your capital works team. It could be anything, right? It could be anything. This process is applicable to different functions, because it's all about identifying value. All right, and not just in terms of internal business capabilities, but also in terms of if you're a business yourself, or you're a service provider or product provider talking to a customer that's large in that sense, or large enough to for you to dive deeper into this kind of information. But typically, I would say you need to know, this is applicable to it doesn't matter whether it's a small or large customers. You need to understand what your customers' challenges are, right? You need to discover that, because when you can discover it, then you can provide a service that they need. Otherwise, you're just providing something that you think you need, but you don't know whether it's something they need, And of course, the other area would be if you're investing in your own business, or you are kickstarting a new business that entails a new product or service. then what you need to do is you also need a value identification workshop, because you need to understand what your market needs are. And by doing this, then you'll be able to understand, all right, what are the solutions that you intend to create, to relieve those pain or create those gains for your customers or your stakeholders or the industry or the market. And what are the solutions that you need to create? Of course, in this instance, we have thought about more of a internal-based organizational solutions. But if you are looking from a business perspective, then those business solutions then encompasses what are those actual product and services that you intend to deliver in order to deliver those pain relievers and gain creators. Again, if you've got 6 different services, as a consulting company, it might be a little bit it might be a little bit hard to understand when there's so many. So typically, if you've only got 3, for example, and these 3 might not be it, but if for example in this area where you're a business selling business strategy, program plan management, as well as implementation is then clear on how we can then overcome those pain, deliver those gains, and and how that aligns to overcoming your customers or the market challenges. Thank you very much for taking the time to tune into this day. Please do raise any questions or send me a comment on what you think. Thank you very much.